Today, we're diving into two titans of 20th century music, Dmitri Shostakovich and Sergei Prokofiev. Both born in Russia, both composing under the gaze of Stalin. Here's the kicker: neither ever defected. Let's ask, why didn't they bolt for the Hollywood hills like their buddy Stravinsky? And most importantly, did sticking around make them better composers or just braver? Shostakovich lived from 1906 to 1975. He was a child prodigy and entered the Petrograd Conservatory at age 13. He hated beats, seriously. He once joked his ideal composer's diet would be caviar and champagne. Not very healthy. He also liked to hide musical jokes in the margins. His quotation of "tea for two" is to be found in the Violin Concerto, the subtle "go dry up" to Soviet censors. Prokofiev lived from 1891 to 1953, and he wrote his first opera at age 12. Not bad. He was multilingual. In addition to Russian, he had excellent French from his years in Paris. He loved motorcycles and even sported one to his Paris concerts. Very rock and roll. His pet project, his ballet, The Love for Three Oranges, featured mischievous princesses. It bombed at first, but hey, romance and citrus never went out of style. But what about that defection dilemma? After the 1917 revolution, many artists fled. Stravinsky dashed off to Switzerland and eventually then to sunny Los Angeles, soaking up Southern California sun and writing the Rake's Progress far from Red Square. So why didn't Shostakovich or Prokofiev join the LA beach volleyball scene? First of all, they had family and home-based loyalty. Shostakovich's parents stayed. He felt duty-bound to protect them. Prokofiev's Russian wife and children were still back home, and the idea of leaving them indefinitely was unbearable to him. Also, the two had a complex relationship with the regime. Both believed they could work within the system to preserve Russian musical greatness. They endured public denunciations, yet the both of them clung to hope for rehabilitation. They also faced practical hurdles. Travel permits were like gold dust. Defection meant blacklisting your family, losing decades of work, and published scores back home. So the question, was it the right decision? Yes, and also maybe no. The pros of staying include the fact that they wrote works like Shostakovich's Symphony No. 5, which became sonic symbols of Soviet resilience. You can almost feel the artillery and later the triumphant victory fanfares. And both Shostakovich and Prokofiev's music speaks with a raw authenticity that might have been lost had they not stayed in Mother Russia. The cons of staying were the constant fear of arrest or worse. Shostakovich spent the last decade of Stalin's life terrified of the phone ring or a knock on the door. Censorship forced them to code switch, cheerful Soviet optimism on paper, bitter irony in the actual writing. Those victory fanfares, they were actually forced rejoicing, according to Shostakovich. What about the musical impact of staying versus a Hollywood what if? Well, they'd gone west. Maybe they would have been more independent and involved somewhat like in Stravinsky, but perhaps not as emotionally charged. We'll never know. What we got instead, their late works especially, mixed tragedy and resilience. Shostakovich's string quartets read like confessions. Prokofiev's final piano sonatas are wistful, nostalgic, tinged with mournfulness. The tension of living under surveillance added a layer of depth. Music is both mask and mirror. So, was not defecting worth it? Well, they gave us masterpieces that pulse with defiance and hope. On the other hand, they missed out on sun-soaked tennis matches, Californian cocktails with Stravinsky. In the end, they made the choice they thought was best, and our lives are richer for it.